I wonder, your father being an accountant,
Yes.
raising 5 children alone, there must have been some system of organization.
We all adore Hugh Jackman as the heroic Wolverine. But what if the real-life story behind the actor is filled with heartbreak? Jackman's childhood was turbulent. His parents split when he was 8, and his mom moved back to England, leaving him behind in Australia. These early experiences shaped him in unexpected ways. And now, the questions everyone's asking: how did a man with dreams of being a chef become a global superstar? What battles did he fight off-screen? And what has he just confirmed about his journey from Sydney to Hollywood? Get ready to learn the untold story of Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, the Aussie heartthrob who stole our hearts as Wolverine, wasn't always the superhero we know and love. Born in Sydney, Australia, he was the middle child in a big family with English roots. His parents had moved to Australia as part of a special immigration program, making Hugh both an Aussie and a Brit. Growing up, Hugh was a bit of a wanderer. He loved exploring the great outdoors, spending time at the beach, camping, and traveling all over Australia. He dreamed of seeing the world and even thought about becoming a chef on an airplane. But family life wasn't always smooth sailing. When Hugh was just 8 years old, his parents split up. His mom moved back to England with his 2 sisters, while Hugh stayed in Australia with his dad and brothers. It was a tough time for young Hugh, but he found comfort in his family and his love for adventure. Little did he know that his childhood dreams of seeing the world would become a reality, but not as an airplane chef. Young Hugh wasn't always the Wolverine we know and love. He started out as a regular kid attending Pymble Public School, then moved on to the all-boys Knox Grammar School, where he showed off his acting chops in a production of My Fair Lady. He even became the school captain, which is like the head honcho of the student body. After graduating, Hugh took a gap year in England, working as a gym teacher. It was a chance for him to explore the world and try something different. But when he returned to Australia, he decided to go to university and study communications. He figured it would be a good way to learn how to tell stories and connect with people. In his final year, he took a drama class just to fill some extra credits. It was like a light bulb went off in his head. He felt more at home with those theater kids in 1 week than he had in his entire time at university. That's when he realized that acting was his true calling. Little did he know that this random drama class would be the first step on his path to becoming a Hollywood superstar. After getting his degree in communications, Jackman wasn't quite done with learning. He took a year-long acting course called The Journey at the Actors Centre in Sydney. It was like a crash course in everything acting, from movement to voice to character development. This is where Jackman really started to take acting seriously. He said, "It wasn't until I was 22 that I ever thought about my hobby being something I could make a living out of. Before that, acting was just a fun thing to do on the side. But now, he was ready to chase his dream." Right after finishing the course, Jackman was offered a role on the popular Australian soap opera Neighbours, but he turned it down. Instead, he decided to go back to school, this time to the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts in Perth. He wanted to really hone his craft and become the best actor he could be. It was a bold move, but it paid off. After graduating in 1994, Jackman was ready to take on the world of acting. He had the training, the talent, and the drive to succeed. Despite his natural charm and talent, Jackman wasn't always the most confident actor. He admitted that when he first started drama school, he felt like the class clown, the one who struggled to keep up with everyone else. He felt like everyone else was cooler, more talented, and destined for success, while he was just trying to figure things out. But looking back, Jackman realized that this underdog feeling actually worked to his advantage. It pushed him to work harder and strive for excellence. Every audition became a challenge, a chance to prove himself and show what he was capable of. He knew he had to give it his all to stand out from the crowd. This underdog mentality fueled his determination and made him appreciate every opportunity he was given. It taught him to never take anything for granted and to always strive for his best. In a way, it was the secret ingredient to his success, driving him to become the Hollywood legend he is today. On the very night of his big acting school graduation performance, Hugh Jackman's phone rang with an unexpected offer, a role on the TV show Corelli. It was his first major acting gig, and he literally went from unemployed to TV star in a matter of seconds. But Corelli wasn't just any show for Jackman. It's where he met the love of his life, Deborah Lee Furness. The two hit it off while working together, and the rest, as they say, is history. Jackman even called meeting his wife the best thing that came out of the show. Sadly, the show itself only lasted one season, but it was a life-changing experience for Jackman. After Corelli, Jackman continued to shine on stage in Melbourne. In 1996, he played the charming villain Gaston in the local production of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. He also took on the lead role of Joe Gillis in Sunset Boulevard, showing his versatility as an actor and singer. Jackman even performed in a cabaret show during the Midsummer Festival, a celebration of LGBTQIA+ culture. But Jackman wasn't just a theater guy. He also hosted some popular Christmas Carol events in Melbourne and Sydney, showing off his hosting skills and his love for the holiday season. In the late 90s, Jackman started dipping his toes into the film industry, appearing in movies like Erskineville Kings and Paperback Hero. He also landed some roles on Australian TV shows like Law of the Land, Halifax FP, and Blue Heelers. He even played a legendary Australian hero in Banjo Patterson's The Man from Snowy River. In 1998, Jackman's career took a giant leap forward when he snagged the lead role of Curly in the super-popular stage production of Oklahoma in London's West End. It was a huge deal for the Aussie actor, and his performance as the charming cowboy stole the show. He even got nominated for an Olivier Award, which is like the British version of the Oscars, for Best Actor in a Musical. Jackman was on top of the world. He said, "I totally felt like it can't get any better than this. On some level, that production will be one of the highlights of my career." He was right. The show was such a hit that they made a movie version in 1999, and it was shown all over the world, making Jackman an international star. This was the big break Jackman had been waiting for. He had finally made it on the world stage, and there was no turning back. From that moment on, his career skyrocketed, taking him to new heights and earning him a place among Hollywood's elite. In 2000, Hugh Jackman's career exploded with his breakthrough role as Wolverine in X-Men. This superhero flick, based on the popular Marvel Comics, introduced the world to Jackman's rugged charm and acting chops. He starred alongside a stellar cast, including Patrick Stewart, James Marsden, Famke Janssen, and Ian McKellen. The movie followed a group of mutants with extraordinary powers who were feared by ordinary folks, but they used their abilities to protect humanity from evil villains. Believe it or not, the role of Wolverine was originally meant for Russell Crowe, but he turned it down and recommended Jackman instead. What a twist of fate. Jackman's wife, Deborah Lee Furness, wasn't thrilled about the idea at first. She thought it was a bit ridiculous, but Jackman went all in, even studying wolves to get into character, since he thought Wolverine was connected to them. X-Men was a box office smash, raking in a whopping $296 million, and Jackman became an overnight sensation. He even won a Saturn Award for Best Actor, which is like the Oscars for sci-fi and fantasy movies. It was the beginning of a legendary career for Jackman, who would go on to play Wolverine in numerous sequels and spin-offs, becoming synonymous with the beloved character. Playing Wolverine wasn't a walk in the park for Hugh Jackman. The character was a man of few words, but those few words were packed with emotion. It was a challenge to convey all that intensity without a lot of dialogue. To prepare for the role, Jackman turned to some classic action heroes for inspiration. He watched Clint Eastwood in the Dirty Harry movies and Mel Gibson in Mad Max 2 Swerts. He admired how these guys could say so much with just a look or a few words. There were guys who had relatively little dialogue, like Wolverine had, but you knew and felt everything, Jackman said. I'm not normally one to copy, but I wanted to see how these guys achieved it. Jackman wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty either. He insisted on doing his own stunts, training in martial arts and studying Mike Tyson's fighting style to capture Wolverine's animalistic rage. He even told the writers not to make the fights too choreographed or pretty. He wanted them to be raw and visceral. But the biggest challenge was getting used to those iconic Wolverine claws. Jackman would practice walking around his living room with them on, just to get comfortable. He even ended up with a few scars from accidental pokes and scratches. It's a good thing he didn't mention his clumsiness during the audition. Playing Wolverine required dedication, physicality, and a willingness to embrace the character's wild side. Jackman rose to the occasion, delivering a performance that would make him a household name and cement his place in superhero history. Hugh Jackman is a tall drink of water at 6 foot 3 inches, but the Wolverine from the comic books is only a pint-sized 5 foot 3 inches. That's a whopping foot difference. So, the filmmakers had to pull out all the tricks in the book to make Jackman look shorter. They filmed him at weird angles, focused on close-ups of his face, and even made his co-stars wear platform shoes to level the playing field. Talk about movie magic! But it wasn't just about looking the part. Jackman also had to bulk up for the role. Wolverine is a tough guy after all. To get those ripped muscles, Jackman hit the gym hard. He even bench-pressed over 300 pounds to prepare for one of the later X-Men movies. That's like lifting a baby elephant. It's safe to say that Jackman went above and beyond to transform himself into Wolverine, both physically and on screen. Wolverine became Hugh Jackman's signature role. He wasn't just the guy who played Wolverine in one movie. He was Wolverine for over 16 years. That's longer than most marriages. Jackman first slashed his way onto the scene in 2000's X-Men, and then kept coming back for more. He starred in sequels like X2 and X-Men, The Last Stand, and even got his own origin story in X-Men Origins, Wolverine. Fun fact, a young Troye Sivan even played a younger Wolverine in that movie. Jackman also made cameo appearances in other X-Men movies, showing up in X-Men First Class and X-Men Apocalypse. He even returned for the Wolverine and X-Men, Days of Future Past. But in 2015, Jackman decided it was time to hang up his claws. He announced that his final Wolverine performance would be in the movie Logan. This epic film not only capped off his incredible run as Wolverine, but it also earned him a Guinness World Record for the longest career as a live-action Marvel superhero. In 2001, Jackman traded his Wolverine claws for a charming British accent in the romantic comedy Kate and Leopold. He played Leopold, a duke from the 1800s who accidentally finds himself in modern-day New York City, where he falls for a jaded advertising executive named Kate, played by Meg Ryan. The movie was a charming love story, and Jackman's performance even earned him a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor. But Jackman wasn't just about romance. He also showed off his action chops in the same year with the movie Swordfish. He played a computer hacker alongside John Travolta and Halle Berry. This was actually the second time Jackman worked with Berry, and they'd go on to team up again in several X-Men movies. To top it off, Jackman showed his funny side by hosting an episode of Saturday Night Live in 2001. He proved that he could not only sing, dance, and act, but also make people laugh with his comedic timing and hilarious skits. It was a year of big wins for Jackman, proving he was more than just a superhero, but a versatile and talented entertainer. In 2002, Jackman showed off his singing chops again, this time at the prestigious Carnegie Hall. He performed the role of Billy Bigelow in a special concert version of the musical Carousel. His voice filled the iconic venue, proving that his talents extended beyond acting and into the world of music. But Jackman wasn't just a singer. He was also a triple threat on Broadway. In 2003, he landed the lead role of Peter Allen in the hit musical The Boy from Oz. His performance as the flamboyant Australian entertainer was so electrifying that he won both a Tony Award and a Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Actor in a Musical. He even took the show on tour to his home country of Australia in 2006, wowing audiences down under. Jackman's charm and charisma also made him the perfect host for the Tony Awards. He emceed the show in 2003, 2004, and 2005, earning rave reviews and even an Emmy Award for his hosting skills. He was clearly a natural on stage, whether he was acting, singing, or cracking jokes. But Jackman wasn't done with action movies just yet. After reprising his role as Wolverine in X2, he took on the title role in the 2004 film Van Helsing. This time, he was a monster hunter, battling vampires and other creatures of the night. His performance as the fearless Gabriel Van Helsing was so iconic that it even earned a mention in a book about vampire slayers. Imagine this: Hugh Jackman, the dashing Aussie actor, was offered the role of James Bond before Daniel Craig. Talk about a missed opportunity. But Jackman had to turn it down because he was already busy being Wolverine. He didn't want to play two super famous characters at once. Can you imagine how cool it would have been to see him as 007 though? In 2006, Jackman starred in a mind-bending mystery thriller called The Prestige. This movie was directed by the brilliant Christopher Nolan, and Jackman shared the screen with Christian Bale, Michael Caine, and Scarlett Johansson. It was a real star-studded cast. Jackman played Robert Angier, a fancy magician who gets into a bitter rivalry with another magician, Alfred Borden, played by Bale. They try to outdo each other with crazy tricks and illusions, but things get dark and dangerous pretty quickly. Jackman was drawn to the role as soon as he read the script, and Nolan thought he was perfect for the part. To prepare, Jackman studied a real-life magician from the 1950s named Channing Pollock. He wanted to capture the charisma and showmanship of a true magician. The Prestige was a huge hit, both with critics and audiences. It was a twisty and suspenseful story that kept everyone guessing until the very end. Jackman's performance as the charming but ruthless Angier was definitely a highlight of the film, proving once again that he could play a wide range of characters. In The Fountain, Hugh Jackman took on a triple challenge, playing 3 different characters across different timelines. He was Tommy Creo, a scientist desperate to save his wife, Izzy, played by Rachel Weisz, from a brain tumor. He was also Captain Thomas Creo, a Spanish conquistador searching for the Tree of Life in the 1500s. And finally, he was Tom, a space traveler in a far-off future, trying to reunite with his lost love. Talk about a mind-bending experience. Jackman had to switch between different emotions, accents, and even hairstyles to bring these 3 distinct characters to life. It was physically and emotionally demanding, but Jackman rose to the occasion, delivering a performance that was both powerful and moving. He even said it was the hardest film he'd ever made. The Fountain was a unique and ambitious project, exploring themes of love, loss, and the search for immortality. Jackman's performance was at the heart of the film, anchoring the 3 interconnected stories and bringing a depth of emotion to each character. In 2006, Jackman put on his charming smile again for Woody Allen's romantic comedy, Scoop, where he starred alongside the beautiful Scarlett Johansson. He also donned his claws once more as Wolverine in X-Men: The Last Stand. But that wasn't all. Jackman dove into the world of animation, lending his voice to 2 family-friendly films. In Happy Feet, he played Memphis, the coolest penguin in Antarctica, with his smooth moves and irresistible charm. And in Flushed Away, he voiced Roddy, a pampered pet rat who gets flushed down the toilet and ends up in the sewers of London. It was a hilarious adventure filled with talking rodents and quirky characters. Fun fact: Flushed Away also starred Kate Winslet and Ian McKellen, marking Jackman's fourth collaboration with the legendary actor. In 2007, Jackman tried his hand at producing and even guest starred in a musical TV show called Viva Laughlin. Unfortunately, it wasn't a hit and was cancelled after just 2 episodes. But hey, even the biggest stars have a few flops on their resume. Throughout his career, Jackman never forgot his roots. He became the patron of the Actors Centre Australia, the same place where he honed his craft and learned the ropes of acting. In 2008, director Baz Luhrmann, the mastermind behind Moulin Rouge, tapped Hugh Jackman for the leading role in his highly anticipated epic film, Australia. It was a juicy role originally meant for Russell Crowe, but fate had other plans, and Jackman stepped into the spotlight. He co-starred with the gorgeous Nicole Kidman in this sweeping romance set against the backdrop of World War II. Jackman played a rugged and independent cattle herder who reluctantly helps a British noblewoman save her husband's struggling ranch and a young Aboriginal boy. It was a dream role for Jackman, who said, "This is pretty much one of those roles that had me pinching myself all the way through the shoot." He was thrilled to be part of a classic romantic adventure that showcased the beauty of his home country and its diverse cultures. But that's not all. 2008 was a big year for Jackman. People. Magazine crowned him the sexiest man alive, proving that he wasn't just a talented actor but also a certified heartthrob. It was the icing on the cake for a year filled with exciting projects and well-deserved recognition. Jackman's star continued to rise, and he became a household name. He was the Aussie actor who could do it all: sing, dance, act, and even charm his way onto the cover of magazines. But his journey was far from over, and he had many more surprises in store for his fans. In 2009, Jackman took a break from the big screen to team up with none other than Daniel Craig, the man behind James Bond himself, for a Broadway play called A Steady Rain. Imagine these two heartthrobs sharing the stage. The play, which ran for a limited time, was a gritty drama about 2 Chicago cops with troubled pasts. It was a different kind of role for Jackman, but he proved once again that he could handle any challenge. But Jackman wasn't just a one-trick pony. He also had a solo show at the Curran Theater in San Francisco in 2011. It was a mix of his favorite Broadway and Hollywood songs, backed by a 17-piece orchestra. He even shared personal stories and photos from his life, giving the audience a glimpse into the man behind the roles. Jackman's love for the stage was undeniable, and he couldn't stay away for long. In 2011, he returned to Broadway with a new show called Hugh Jackman, Back on Broadway. It was a musical extravaganza, filled with song, dance, and Jackman's infectious charm. The show ran for a few months, and it was a huge hit, proving that Jackman was a true Broadway star. In 2012, Jackman hopped into a new role, lending his voice to the Easter Bunny in the animated adventure Rise of the Guardians. He played E. Aster Bunnymund, a tough-talking, boomerang-wielding bunny who joins forces with other legendary figures like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy to protect children from darkness. That same year, Jackman's likeness was even used for a character in a spin-off book based on the popular Skullduggery Pleasant series. So, not only was he a real-life superhero, but he also became a literary one. But Jackman's biggest challenge of 2012 was yet to come. He took on the iconic role of Jean Valjean in the movie adaptation of the beloved musical Les Miserables. To play this complex and emotional character, Jackman went through a dramatic transformation, losing 15 pounds and then gaining 30 pounds to portray Valjean's journey from poverty to prosperity. His hard work paid off. In 2013, he won a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a musical or comedy for his powerful performance. And for the first time in his career, he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor. It was a huge moment for Jackman, cementing his status as a multi-talented performer who could conquer both stage and screen. In 2013, Jackman showed off his comedic chops once again in the ensemble comedy Movie 43. It was a wacky movie with a bunch of different stories and a whole bunch of famous actors. He even teamed up with comedy hip-hop group The Lonely Island for a song called You've Got the Look, proving that he could rap as well as he could sing and dance. But Jackman wasn't just about laughs. He returned to his theatrical roots in 2014 with the Broadway play The River. It was a mysterious and intimate drama about a man who tries to reconnect with his lost love in a remote cabin. Jackman's performance was praised for its emotional depth and vulnerability, showing a different side to the usually charismatic actor. In 2015, Jackman took his talents back home to Australia with his show Broadway to Oz. It was a nationwide tour filled with songs from his favorite Broadway musicals, including Les Miserables and a tribute to the Australian singer Peter Allen. He had a huge orchestra, a choir, and even backup dancers. It was a spectacular show that showcased Jackman's incredible talent and his love for his home country. In 2015, Jackman took on a new challenge, playing the villainous pirate Blackbeard in the movie Pan. This wasn't your average Peter Pan story, though. It was all about how Peter and Captain Hook first met, with a young Jackman bringing a dark and theatrical twist to the classic villain. Sadly, the movie didn't do too well with critics or at the box office. Even with Jackman's star power, it just didn't capture the magic of Neverland. But Jackman quickly bounced back with a totally different role in 2016's Eddie the Eagle. This time, he played a fictional ski coach named Bronson Peary, who helped Eddie Edwards, a real-life underdog, achieve his dream of competing in the Olympics as a ski jumper. It was an inspiring true story, and Jackman's performance as the gruff but supportive coach was a highlight of the film. In 2016, Jackman also made a surprise cameo as Wolverine in X-Men: Apocalypse. It was a brief but exciting moment for fans, as they got to see their favorite mutant one last time. And in 2017, Jackman said goodbye to Wolverine for good in Logan. This gritty and emotional film was a huge hit with critics and fans, and it's considered one of the best superhero movies ever made. For his incredible run as Wolverine, spanning an epic 17 years, Jackman snagged the top spot on the Hollywood Reporter's list of greatest superhero movie performances of all time. Not bad for a guy who once thought the role was ridiculous. But Jackman wasn't done wowing audiences. In 2017, he donned a top hat and stepped into the shoes of P.T. Barnum, the legendary showman, in the musical The Greatest Showman. He sang, danced, and charmed his way into our hearts, earning himself a Golden Globe nomination and even a Grammy Award for the film's soundtrack. In 2018, Jackman took a break from singing and dancing to portray a real-life political figure, Senator Gary Hart, in The Front Runner. This dramatic film dove into the scandal that rocked Hart's presidential campaign in 1988 when news of his affair broke. Jackman's performance was captivating, capturing both the charisma and the flaws of this controversial figure. In 2019, Jackman switched gears again, lending his voice to the animated adventure Missing Link. He played Sir Lionel Frost, a quirky explorer who sets out to find the mythical Sasquatch. It was a fun and heartwarming story, and Jackman's voice brought the character to life with humor and charm. In 2019, Jackman decided to take his talents on the road with his first-ever world tour, aptly named The Man, The Music, The Show. It was a dazzling spectacle featuring songs from The Greatest Showman soundtrack, along with classic Broadway and Hollywood musical numbers. This tour was no small feat, with a whopping 88 shows spanning North America, Europe, and Oceania. Fans were treated to Jackman's incredible vocal talents, charming stage presence, and infectious energy. But that's not all. In the same year, Jackman was honored with a prestigious title, Companion of the Order of Australia. It's like a big deal award given by the Queen of England to Aussies who have made outstanding contributions to their country. Jackman was recognized for his amazing work as an actor and performer, as well as his efforts to fight poverty around the world. Talk about a true Aussie hero. Back on the big screen, Jackman starred in the comedy drama Bad Education alongside Allison Janney. He played a charming school superintendent who gets caught up in a financial scandal. It was a different kind of role for Jackman, but he nailed it, showing off his acting range and his ability to tackle complex characters. Then came The Son, a powerful drama where Jackman played a divorced dad struggling to connect with his troubled teenage son. The film, directed by Florian Zeller and co-starring Laura Dern, was an emotional roller coaster that explored the complexities of family relationships. In 2021, Jackman returned to Broadway, this time as the fast-talking con man Harold Hill in a revival of the classic musical The Music Man. He was nominated for another Tony Award, proving that he was still a top-notch performer on stage. The show got mixed reviews, but that didn't stop people from flocking to see Jackman in action. It was a box office hit, reminding everyone of his undeniable star power. But get this, Jackman isn't done playing Wolverine. He's set to reprise his iconic role in the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine movie, joining forces with Ryan Reynolds in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Jackman has been working hard to get back in superhero shape, even admitting that the hardest part is eating enough to bulk up. He's a naturally skinny guy, so packing on all that muscle is a challenge, but he's determined to give fans one last epic Wolverine performance. Behind the scenes, Jackman has also been busy building his own production company, Seed Productions, with his longtime assistant John Palermo and his wife Deborah Lee Furness. They even have matching Unity rings to symbolize their partnership. Jackman loves working with his partners, and they've produced some great projects together. In 1996, Jackman found love on the set of the Australian TV show Corelli. He fell head over heels for his co-star, Deborah Lee Furness, and they tied the knot in a romantic ceremony in Melbourne. Jackman even designed a special engagement ring for her, and their wedding rings had a sweet inscription in Sanskrit that meant, "We dedicate our union to a greater source." Talk about a love story for the ages. But their path to parenthood wasn't easy. Deborah Lee experienced 2 heartbreaking miscarriages, but their love for each other only grew stronger. They decided to adopt 2 beautiful children, making their family complete. They settled down in New York City, creating a loving and supportive home for their kids. However, after 27 years of marriage, they announced their separation in September 2023, leaving fans heartbroken. It was a sad ending to a beautiful love story, but both Jackman and Furness expressed their commitment to co-parenting their children and remaining friends. Despite the personal challenges, Jackman remained grounded in his faith. He was raised as a Christian and attended many religious events as a child. Although his beliefs have evolved over time, he still identifies as a Christian, even if his views differ from those of his father. Jackman believes in finding his own spiritual path, one that incorporates meditation and teachings from various sources. In 2013, a shadow fell over Jackman's sunny disposition when he was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, a type of skin cancer. It was a scary time, but Jackman faced it head-on, having the cancer removed from his nose. Unfortunately, this wasn't the end of his battle. He had another carcinoma removed in 2014, and doctors warned him that it might come back again. This health scare didn't stop Jackman from promoting his movie, X-Men: Days of Future Past. But he attended premieres with a bandage on his nose, a visible reminder of his recent surgery. He also used his platform to urge his fans to wear sunscreen, a message he continues to advocate for passionately. Thankfully, in April 2023, Jackman shared the good news that his latest tests came back negative for cancer. However, his experiences have made him a strong advocate for sun safety, emphasizing the importance of protecting our skin from harmful UV rays. But skin cancer wasn't the only health challenge Jackman faced. In 2015, he had to cancel some stage performances due to a bleeding vocal cord. It was a setback for the energetic performer, but he bounced back after treatment and continued to dazzle audiences with his powerful voice. In a more light-hearted turn of events, a portrait of Jackman and his wife, Deborah Lee Furness, was a finalist in the prestigious 2022 Archibald Prize, a major art competition in Australia. It was a beautiful tribute to their enduring love and a testament to Jackman's impact on popular culture. Through it all, Jackman's resilience and positive attitude have shown through. He's faced health challenges head-on, using his experiences to raise awareness and advocate for prevention. He's a true fighter, both on screen and in real life, and his inspiring journey continues to captivate fans around the world.